Dan Houston's preference is to get to Collingwood. Let's talk about it. So as I'm recording today, well, it's today in Scotland. It's tomorrow in in Melbourne at the moment. But as I'm recording right now, the news is that an insider source via The Age has said that Dan Houston's preference is to get to Collingwood. So we talked about it in a video yesterday and said that someone needs to blink first, and it looks like Dan has picked Collingwood. I don't think he'll come out and say it. I'm hoping he does because that'll help a little bit. But if his preference is Collingwood, that's absolutely incredible. Now it's just about dealing with Gold Coast for their picks, and then obviously dealing the best deal we can get for Dan Houston. Because remember, Port Adelaide do want those 2 first-rounders. So what's going to happen? So at the moment, Collingwood want Gold Coast picks 13 and picks 23 for John Noble and the future first-round pick from 2025. So Gold Coast have rejected that. I think that's actually a pretty good way to look at it. Like I actually like that deal, and I think we've talked about that specific deal quite a bit. I don't know what else can get the job done around there, because pick 13 would then get on traded for Dan Houston, of course, and then you're looking at pick 23 to take that to the draft. Because Collingwood do want to get into the draft, and that 23 would probably get you one of the Whitlock twins if that's who we're after, but we know that Collingwood probably draft a midfielder because classic Collingwood. But Gold Coast have rejected that pick, and industry sources are saying that Port Adelaide would have rejected pick 13 and Joe Richards for Dan Houston, which is what we would have offered if we had gotten those picks from Gold Coast at the moment. So it's a real impasse between the 3 clubs, and you've got to remember that Lukosha still needs to make his way to Port Adelaide, and that looks like it's going to be a future pick. So don't be surprised if, we talked about it ages ago, if there is a 3-way deal coming up, and I just don't see what else could work unless there's a future second dropped in somewhere. Collingwood might have to give up quite a bit to get Dan Houston to the club, but I think bringing Dan Houston in is just a no-brainer. Yes, we'll be paying a little bit of overs, but an elite ball user, 2-time All-Australian, an upgrade on John Noble, an upgrade on Markov as well, and he lets the other half-backers do what they can get back to doing in our premiership year. What I'm hoping that we get today, because I obviously suppose this first thing in the morning when you're probably watching this. So obviously what I want today from the trade period is, one, I would love Dan Houston to come out and say, get me to Collingwood, because just to have that. We talked about Perryman, about how he nominated Collingwood. Just, you know, to be able to say, yeah, we got a big name player who wants to come to our club. I think that's a little bit of a gloating sort of thing. I would actually really like that. And again, just to really like a 2-time All-Australian to say, yeah, get me to the Pies. That's my preference. I think that would be really cool. I also now want, the second thing that I want is for Gold Coast to sort of, I know all the chips are in their hand, but they just need to come to the party a bit, because I think John Noble and a future first is good for 13 and that 23, but I can kind of see Collingwood giving up Noble, a future first, and maybe, I'd hate to do it, but maybe a future second as well, to get that 13 and that 23, because we've got to remember that this draft is really, really deep and really, really good. So getting into that draft at pick 23, which will probably turn into a pick 25 or 26 when all the academy and father sons and stuff are bid on, I think it's a really, really good, and we really need that pick. But then you've got to think of the 2025 draft, where we've got to get points for McGuan. So giving up a future second rounder is a bit risky as well if we can't get those back. So it's about striking a balance. You don't want to give up too much, but you know that you have to give up a lot, or quite a bit anyway, to get someone as elite as Dan Houston into the club. A couple more trade updates is that Mitch Cleary is reporting Finn McRae is seeking another club. Obviously can't crack into that Collingwood team at the moment. He's got 1 year left to run in his contract. It would hurt to see him go, but he just hasn't had that impact when he comes on. I know there's a couple of games where, you know, was that West Coast game when he kicked 3 goals, or he does little bits and pieces and really efficient in the VFL, but he just can't bring that form over to the AFL. And I've been a big Finn fan from the start. And I would love to keep him. I'd love to be him to be our next gen midfielders, but I just can't see him cracking into this team in 2025. And the other one via Gettable is that Reef McGuinness of the uncontracted players is probably the most likely to get a contract extension. There's been talks that they want to change him into maybe a defender. Could he be a Nathan Murphy replacement? I know I have a habit, I don't know about you guys, but I have a habit of being like, oh, failed forward. Can he be a Nathan Murphy replacement? Oh, what about this guy? Can he be? I know we're never going to replace Nathan Murphy, but we do need that sort of defender. And I think even though we're looking at Tomlinson isn't that guy. That's that quote unquote Nathan Murphy replacement. So maybe it could be Reef. Who knows? Good height, good courage, good mark. Because he probably couldn't fit in the forward line. I'd love to see him get converted into a winger. He played in the VFL on the wing a little bit. Just has to get his tank up. But I would love for him to get a contract extension, even if it is for one more year, just to see absolutely what he can do and just run him right into the ground to see what he can do for this club. Because I do love Reef. I think he is a bit of an X factor. Hate that he's sub all the time, but he is a bit of an X factor. We've just got to back him in, and maybe a positional change is exactly what he needs. But anyway, guys, that's just been an update as of the 9th of the 10th for me, and it'll be the 10th of the 10th for you. Obviously, I'll be asleep probably by the time this video gets uploaded, so any more news, I'll try and get to it as soon as I wake up. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double shaggers. I'll swoop you later.